Good morning, everybody. M3 time. Time to get your Monday morning mindset on and absolutely crush this week. Glad you're here. And it is the 20th of January. Nothing going on today. Nothing happening in the world. And it is Martin Luther King Day. So happy Martin Luther King Day. And which is sort of funny because Martin Luther King, he had a dream. He had a dream. And we talked a lot about last time about having dreams. And it's one of those things that we've talked about that a lot of adults have stopped dreaming. So we are going to be talking today about how to take that dream and turn that clarity into consistent action. So if you could have that drive, have that focus, what would it change? Because we can be as clear as we want to be, but if we're not clear with our actions, what's the likelihood of anything changing? Stick that in chat for me. What's the likelihood of anything changing? I don't care if you've got the greatest dream, the biggest vision, the clearest goals, the best plan in the world. If you don't have the action, yep, zero. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they were talking about like making a business proposal for a bank to see if a bank will lend you money. And he went, absolute waste of time. He said, I've never seen anybody's business proposal go to plan. And this is a guy who's really, really good at business. So I was just thinking about that. He said, it's a waste of time. It's just somebody at the bank wants to see it. And because what the business plan doesn't show is the level of action somebody's willing to do. And I saw this amazing video yesterday. I'm going to stick it. I'll stick it in the chat. But it was this guy who's a big guy, got a lot of weight on him. And he said, I'm going to sign up for a bodybuilding competition. And he says, now I'm not going to focus on winning because he said, I don't have the body to do well in bodybuilding. He said, this is just a personal goal. And he said, so I'm going to find one and I'm going to sign up for it. And he's done a podcast and he's telling somebody about it. Fast forward 1 year later, he's on stage and he wins. And you would never have thought that his prior body would have been like a stage winning competition body in 1 year from now. He didn't believe it, but he did the actions to achieve the goal. Does that make sense? And I think that's one of the biggest things. When we can have that action in such a great place, you might achieve something impossible. Is that you following me there? It's like just because he didn't believe it, he still did the actions towards the outcome and he shocked himself. Now, what I'm really interested in, if there's a follow-up video, because now he's just done the impossible, what does that tell him? What is he capable of doing now? And the truth is he always had that potential, but he had a story why he couldn't do it. Does that make sense? He could have done that at any year, but he had a story around whether he had a story around his genetics, whether he had a story about his discipline, whether he had a story about his bone structure or what other people had. It was easier for them. I don't know what his story was, but I know his story was false because he did it. So we're going to get clear on making focus the bridge between the goal and how to achieve them. That's it. So you think of you on one side of the chasm, you've got your dream on the other side, and the bridge to get there is the action. And this is where so many people, they fail to act. And, people try and multitask to try and get the results as well. And studies have shown multitasking will reduce your productivity by 40%. There's no such thing as a great multitasker. There's people that are really focused on one thing and then they move to the next thing and they're really focused and they move to the next thing. But you cannot spread focus out because focus is like a magnifying glass, right? So if we go outside today, or at least if Ruth goes outside today, Lisa, I'm sorry, you're screwed. But Lisa's in 6 degrees right now. I'm just teasing her. So if you go outside and you hold up a magnifying glass, the rays of the sun are going to set fire to something as long as you get it focused. But if you just go outside, the sun is not going to set fire to anything. Yeah. We have to condense its focus. And I want you to think of your focus like that. It's your goals are the fire, but your focus is the spark that ignites them. And what I found is focus is like a laser pointer pen. It is always on. So I don't have to create focus. My focus is on. But is it focused on distractions? Is it focused on procrastination? Is it focused on the couch? Is it focused on Netflix? Is it focused about creating a generational wealth in residual income? Where is your focus? So if you in chat, if you didn't have to create focus, you just had to guide your focus, what would that change? It wasn't something that you had to like charge up and create. It's just, where is your focus going? If you're like me, the fact that I don't have to create it all the time gives me a lot more freedom. It's like having a car. It's not where are you, it's where do you want to drive today? You can drive anywhere you want. Where do you want to drive? Your focus, you can focus on anything you want, but where do you want to go? Most people's focus is on short-term pleasure, food, TV, escape. Yeah. Where really successful people, their focus is on long-term things. They're willing to feel bad today to get a greater tomorrow. Where the average person wants to feel good today and they're not even thinking about tomorrow because they're just going to do the same things again to try and escape. Yeah. You following me so far? So we're going to focus. We're going to get that fire from our goals. We talked about that in previous sessions, and we're going to get that spark. And whether you want to find, like, I always find it's good to find evidence. So like Richard Branson's a great example for me. He's highly dyslexic. He left school at 15. I'm highly dyslexic, left school at 15. He started a newspaper. Then he started a record store. Then he started a record label. And you're like, okay, yeah, there's a good progression there. And then his next business in chat, anybody know what Richard Branson's fourth business is? Newspaper at 15 years old. All right. Record store, record label, fourth business. See what you guys are saying in chat. No, Lisa's just crying. Always trying to multitask. So his fourth business was airline. And I'm like, And when asked why, he said, I thought it would be fun to do. He admits he is not a detail person. And they asked him, what are some of your secrets to having over 400 businesses? And he said, oh, I suck at the majority of things. So I've always been good at getting help. Because of his dyslexia, it's giving him his superpower because he's going to get help. Yeah. He can't do it all. Making sense? So what would happen if you applied the highest level of focus to your goals this week? Stick that in chat for me. What would happen if you were like, hey, this is my big goal and I'm going to put my full focus. I'm going to get my laser pointer pen. I'm going to point it at where I want to be at the end of this month, at the end of this year. And you reminded yourself of that on a daily basis. Where do you think your business would go? Where do you think your fitness would go? Where do you think your health would go? Where do you think relationships would go? Would surprise myself how much. I got a little much higher level. Yeah. Yeah, to a place it's never been before. So the great news is you agreed it's within your potential. Yeah. It's not outside of your potential. It's within your potential. You know it just by those statements that you're capable of doing that. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how focused have you been on your goals? Stick it in chat. 0 being not focused, 10 being absolutely focused. So how focused have you been on your goals? Janae, I don't know if that's swearing. No, good. So 5, 6, 3, awesome. Acceptance of where you're at without judgment. Yeah. So we've got to look at what are some of the common distractions. All right. So the highest common distractions, like focus killers. What do you reckon? Social media came out as number 1. Number 1 killer of distraction, or killer of goals, killer of dreams right now. is social media, then email, then multitasking, and then procrastination. And there's been a really interesting study on procrastination. So they wired people's brains up and they asked them to think about themselves. And just for an argument's sake, I'm going to say the brain waves look like mountains and valleys, right? So the brain wave goes like this when they think about themselves. And then he said, think about a stranger. And the brain waves did more of a rolling waves. Yeah. So it showed up differently on the screen. And then they asked them to think about themselves in the future. So if thinking about yourself did peaks and valleys and thinking about strangers did rolling waves, thinking about yourself in the future, what do you think the researchers saw on the brain waves when people thought about themselves in the future? Stick that in chat. Ruth says spikes. And so what they actually found is when humans think about themselves in the future, it's like they're thinking about a stranger. It was rolling waves. They don't relate themselves to that person in the future because they found people who procrastinate a lot are hoping that a better version of them suddenly wakes up one day, like a superhero. It's like they've got goals, but they're not capable of doing them. But they're hoping that one day, maybe 2025, that they are going to get the discipline and the drive and the follow through. But when they think about it, it comes across as a stranger. They don't associate it with themselves. Is this making sense? They're not seeing themselves as that person. They're hoping that somebody else saves them. They're hoping somebody else swoops in. They're making goals based on a better version of them magically showing up, and it doesn't happen. It's you. I realized life is not going to get easier. Anybody else realize that? We just get better. And I heard a story this week, and the story was this guy every day was going and he was trying to move this boulder and he's pushing so hard and he goes back every day and he pushes hard and he goes back and he pushes hard for a year. And that boulder doesn't move a millimeter. But what do you think that guy's physique looks like now? Everything's grown. He's stronger than ever before. And that's the challenges in life. Sometimes we can give our best and they don't move, but you know what? We become so much stronger because of them. And it might not be to move that thing, but it moves other things. My foster and adopted daughters, I always tell them, you've been through hard. And that's going to make you so much stronger. It's going to let you achieve so much more in life because your definition of hard is up here, where people who have had an easier life's definition is down here. Having a hard life is a superpower if you use it as a strength, not as an obstacle, not as a weakness, not as a baggage. Does that make sense? So that's what we're going to focus on. It's like we are stronger through our trials. If you got super focused on your business this week, or your family, or your health and fitness, your life will transform. But most people are more concerned about their story being right than them hitting their dreams, than hitting their visions. So who's following me? Give me a thumbs up. Making sense? So I love this quote. Distractions aren't just obstacles. They're decisions. Every time you give in, you're choosing against your goals. So distractions are not just obstacles. They are decisions. You're deciding to be distracted. Every time you give in to that distraction, you are choosing against your goals. Like that hit me hard because I'm like, I'm choosing not to be successful in this area. I'm choosing to not be as healthy as I can be. I'm choosing to be stuck in my business. It feels real different when it feels like you're choosing it. It feels really easy when you feel like it's just life. But this is that personal ownership. So in chat, what is your biggest distraction right now? What's your biggest distraction that's holding you back? So let's call it out and let's take control of it. Again, number one, step one is always awareness. So biggest distraction right now, and it could be real, it could be made up. I'm not taking away, some people have very busy lives, but if you're like me, I've never had a season where my life's got less busy. Anybody else? It's just there. It's just there. And then when I think it's going to get easier, it generally doesn't. So if it's never going to get easier, those distractions are always going to be there. Yeah, escape reality once kids are settled online. Yep. Mindless scrolling. Yep. Thanks, love. Again, call it out for you. If it is mindless scrolling, I'd encourage you to take Facebook or whatever platform it is off your phone this week. And then what you're going to do every time you feel that need, and that need is to get some dopamine. Every time you feel that need, do something towards your outcome. It will be an absolute mind share. Not clear on my priorities. Yeah, attention, get distracted. Yeah. And so I have lots of these things, lots of sticky notes. I still like sticky notes. And I have them all over the place. What are my goals? I have a whiteboard over here. What's my goal? It was funny last week. I was writing down the people that I want to connect with that week. And I wrote down one guy's name. 30 seconds later, I get a text off him. And I laughed and I texted him back. I said, I just wrote your name down to contact this week. And I said, and here you are texting me. 2 days later, having a double date with him and his wife and my wife, and I was just like, wow, there you go. I wrote it down and things start happening because I'm making a statement to myself that that's something I'm going to follow through. So who here has a place where they write down their goals for the week? 20 push-ups every time you want to scroll. I think that's a great one. We're going to see a really jacked love soon. Even more jacked, should I say. So who here? Yeah, you've got a place that you write down your goals. I would put it everywhere. You lift up your toilet seat, there's your goals. You put down your sun visor, there's your goals. Yeah. Have your goals in a ridiculous amount of places because it's going to start triggering your brain. Yeah. Of, oh yeah, I do have that goal. It's so easy to forget. It's like a filing system in our brain and it gets pushed to the back. So priority tasks. All right. So if it's reach out for you, that's your highest priority task, schedule it in. Block 1 to 2 hours a day into income producing activities. What grows your business the most? Have purpose behind it. So time blocking works. If you don't have an hour, do 30 minutes. If you don't have 30 minutes, do 10 minutes. If your garage is a mess and you're like, oh, I don't have time to clean it up, go do 10 minutes of all out garage pickup. See what you can get done. But don't push it off to tomorrow. There is something so messed up when we push things off to tomorrow. On Mondays, it's like, I'm going to join the gym next week. Why? Join the gym now. Call in and sign up over the phone. Never leave the sight of setting a goal without taking immediate and massive action towards it. So block in time that is uninterrupted. Like, this is the truth, guys. This is the truth. Most people are going to sit on the toilet more this week pooping than they will moving towards their outcomes. They've got all the schedule. They go, I don't have time, but then they're in the bathroom, 15 minutes scrolling on social media. That's the majority of people. They have dreams, but they're not taking the actions because the actions get sweaty. You're going to get sweaty with the actions because if you wanted to do the actions, you probably would have. But most times it's the things that we don't want to do that are going to grow us the most. Cannot tell you how many times I've dreaded going to the gym or dreaded going mountain biking or dreading having a conversation about marriage or looking at the real business numbers or looking at how much money is in the bank account. Like, these are things that are painful and people want to avoid, but it's the people that can look at them and then get a game plan without judgment. I'm going to highlight that, hashtag it, without judgment. Look at your behavior without judgment and just decide what you want to do. All right. So we're going to have daily blocks of time towards your income producing activities, and then share a simple morning routine. All right. So I want you to share with somebody what your morning routine is going to be. And I want it to include visualization, writing down your priorities, and setting your intentions. And this weekend, I watched a documentary on Netflix about Arnold Schwarzenegger. And documentary one is the bodybuilding days. I'm halfway through documentary two, which is his movie days. And then the next one is his political. And he said his superpower has always been visualization. He said from the first time he saw a guy called Reg Park, who was an English guy and he was a champion bodybuilder. And he said, I'm going to look like that one day. And he visualized constantly what that would be. He put the work in, he put the effort in. I read his biography when I was 16 years old. And at that time, he was just a bodybuilder when he wrote the book. And he said, next, I'm going to get into movies and then I'm going to get into politics. And whether you like the guy or not, he did what he said he's going to do. And what I didn't realize is when he got into the movies, his first movie, they actually dubbed his voice because his voice was so bad. And it took 5 years of him trying to become an actor and nothing. 5 years of work, nothing. And then he got a crappy movie deal. And the reviews said the horse had better facial expressions than Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I was like, right, he just came from being the world champion and now he's getting laughed at. But he had a vision and he continued to focus on the vision. And I've realized, how often do we have a dream, but how often do we visualize achieving that dream? Is it locked in? Does that make sense? So lock in your vision time. Lock in your priorities. Lock in your intentions. Because your goals aren't tasks. They're stepping stones to your dreams. Does that make sense? It's the stepping stones to what you want. These are your goals. If you look at them as things to do, you're going to have some resistance to them. Like, oh, have you ever said this? Oh, I have to. I have to go work out. I have to eat healthy. I have to do follow-up. I have to train my staff. I have to. What if you get to? I get to train my staff. I get to do follow-up. I get to meet new people. I get to move towards my dreams. It's so much more free. I feel stressed when I say I have to. Even just saying it as an example, I felt stressed, like, oh, pressured. I get to grow a 6-figure, 7-figure business. I get to build more relationships. I get to do a Monday morning mindset. That makes sense? When we focus on what we get to go so much faster. So what's your morning routine going to be? Because what I know, if your morning routine worked, you'd have already achieved what you wanted to do. Are you ready to throw the rule book out the window and design your morning? And again, that might be 5 minutes. That might be in the shower, visualizing. Who showers every day? Visualize. Who goes to the bathroom every day? Visualize. Use that time. If you've got your own bathroom, have your vision board in your toilet, on your wall. Sit there, look at it. This is what I'm going to do. It will change everything when your brain sees what you want to do every single moment of the day. So I want you to close your eyes right now, unless you're driving, because that would be bad. But I want you to picture yourself, visualize yourself by the end of this week, crushing every target that you've set. Knowing this has been your most productive week you've had, maybe ever. Maybe in the last 6 months, maybe in the last week. But this is your week to crush every goal, every target that you set. And I want you to just ask yourself, what does it feel like knowing that I crushed it all? What do you think about yourself? What do you feel about yourself? And then I just want you to ask this question. What did you do to get there? In order for you to crush the goals, every task you set, what did you do to get there? And then just write that down. Lisa, I read your last word wrong a little bit in your last statement. So there you go. It's a shift. Good attitude, shift. All right, got it. All right. So what changed? Like, could you visualize, stick that in chat. Could you visualize you crushing it all by the end of this week? Did you get some ideas of how you did it? Again, we're starting with success as the starting point and reverse engineering. I already did it. I had the most amazing week of focus. I moved towards my dream. I created an inspiring vision and I visualized it. You have that ability to do that this week. It's time to drop the stories that are holding you back. The only thing that's stopping you achieving your goals is your stories around why you can't achieve it. So I'm going to give you some action steps. Number one, I want you to choose one big goal this week. One big goal. I want you to write that down. What's your one big goal? One major goal for this week. And I want you to stick that in chat. Again, sticking it in chat is not for my benefit. It's for yours. If you don't know what your big goal is this week, the likelihood of you growing is very low. So what's your big goal this week? Awesome, Lisa. Reboot, enroll one person. Awesome. So that's your big goal. Awesome. Now, break it down into small, specific actions that you can take each day, keeping it simple but achievable. So what small, specific actions can you take each day to achieve that now? And again, if anybody is working with people, talking with people, I'd highly encourage you, if you haven't already, read the book Story Brand. Listen to the book Story Brand. It is by far my favorite marketing book. And if you're like me, all business comes from people. So if you're in the people world, get the book Story Brand. You'll thank me if you have a Spotify premium subscription. It is free. If you have the library app, it's called Libby. You can schedule to listen to audiobooks for free. So, or if you have obviously an Audible account, those just such a great book. Awesome, love. Great. All right. So you got your actions. Know what time those workouts will take place. Pre-plan the menus, social media strategies, prepare food for 3 days. Awesome. And Janelle, you can document all that on your stories. You can be stories on social media of you preparing your meal. You can do some reels, and just again, if you look at Janelle's post in the Amari group, Level Up Leadership, she's got one of her good friends who's a social media influencer, just talking about a hook. And that's basically her moving from out the frame into the frame. And that creates that visual stimulus that humans are attracted to, and it gets more clicks. So just little stuff like that. Awesome. Now, look at your calendar right now, and I want you to grab your phone and block in those times that you're going to work on it. These are the non-negotiables. These are your time. Do 3 video posts. Awesome, Ruth. Get into conversations. Great. So get your phone, look at it, get your calendar, block in. These are non-negotiable times apart from an emergency. Our kids know they have to be bleeding or need medical assistance in order to knock on our door in these times. All right. And I'm serious with that one. All right. And then I want you to take a picture of your schedule and send it to a friend or a mentor or me. Accountability amplifies results. Just let them know, hey, don't need to respond. Just taking a picture of my schedule. This is where I'm going. This is what I'm going to do this week. If you don't have a lot of support around you, if you do have that great friend or that mentor, take it, say, hey, can you check in with me to see if I'm following through? I am going to follow through, but I'd love to hear from you as well. Yeah. Public statements of accountability matter. So this week, focus is your superpower. Use it wisely and watch your goals come to life. All right. It's a superpower. And just like superpowers, there can be super villains. Some people use their power to create, some people use their power to destroy. Use your focus to create, not destroy your dreams. Don't focus on things that move you away from who you want to be and what you want to achieve. So if you like this session and you found it helpful, you can follow us on YouTube, Devlin Worldwide, and we will be posting these videos on there and more. And you can connect with us on Instagram at Devlin Worldwide as well. And then our website, devlinworldwide.com. And again, if you've got something out of this, feel free to share it. Feel free to bring a friend. This is open to your family members, your coworkers, your staff, your team, whoever you can feel like would get benefit from this, bring them along. And let's see what we can do, helping even more people. So thanks a bunch. I'm excited to see what your focus does this week. I'd love to hear from you by Friday of how good. If your focus was a 3, again, that means you're focusing on a 10 on other things. Does that make sense? If it was a 6, if it was a 5, this is your week. How great would it feel to message me and say, Andrew, this week was a 10. This week was an 8 towards my goals, because better's better. If you're a 3, go to a 5. If you can get from a 5, get to a 6 the next day. If you get to a 7 the next day, and the goal is by the end of the week, 10 out of 10. So I hope this gives you some value. Thanks for being on today. Happy Martin Luther King Day as well. And I will speak to you next week for more M3. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.